Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all my friends around the globe. You are watching The Experiment, and I am your host, Joe Soro. It's been a interesting week and some change since the last show we had. Had a chance to view a really good 10-game homestand for the LA Dodgers. We had a chance to see the completion of the 2024-2025 NBA season, as well as probably the most entertaining part of the NBA season about to come up on Wednesday for the NBA draft, as well as free agency starting July 1. We'll get into other things as well, should they present themselves. But Jay, thanks for being here first. I did a little bit more of an announcement for tonight's show, depending on where you're at, just so people can know that the shows will probably start to ramp up a little bit more now that there's going to be activity like the NBA draft, the NBA free agency, and of course, soon to be in about 3 weeks, the start of the NFL training camp for a lot of the teams in the NFL. And, we're still going to talk baseball. There's a lot to talk about. The LA Dodgers had a 7-3 record and played some pretty good teams. Now, the last series they had against Washington, I used pretty good teams because for some weird reason, the Washington Nationals seem to be the Charlotte Bobcats to the Dodgers of the LA Lakers of the 2009-2010 era. I don't know what it is about the Washington Nationals, but they seem to play out of their minds when they play against LA, whether they're in Washington or whether they're in LA. Dodgers still won the series 2-3, but that third game it was pretty suspect. I didn't know what the hell was going on. They were down 3-0. Was kind of upset that Hae-Sung Kim missed that that home run. I believe I felt pretty comfortable that if it was Pius playing center, he probably would have stolen that. But nonetheless, the Dodgers went on a freaking crazy run, ended up scoring 11 straight runs to go up 11-3 and pretty much put that game away until Dave Roberts and, according to Empire Jeff, the background guys upstairs decided to keep allowing Kike Hernandez to pitch. Yeah. No, thank you. Please stop doing that. Even when you're down 11-0, stop putting Kike out there. If you can't get an arm to just pitch for 3 outs and you think they're going to get tired, I mean, is that really going to make a difference? I don't understand that, and I never will. It was horrible the last 2 outings by Kike, and this isn't Kike's fault. He has no business being out there. I don't care what the hell's going on. Was kind of upset on the last one though because the Dodgers were up 11-0, and I wanted a shutout against our rival, and that got pissed away, of course, because they want to save the pitchers. Well, if you can't get a AAA pitcher in there for a few games here and there to do this kind of stuff, you guys are supposed to be prepared, right? Come on, prepare for this, guys. Thanks, Johnny, for the update. Last time I saw this, the score was 3-0 in Washington's favor. Looks like the Nationals are giving the Padres the business. And I've noticed something about the Padres in this 7 game. Well, they've played them 7 times in the last few weeks. The homestand was only 4 times. But I've noticed that the Padres are missing something. And I sort of know what it is, but I don't know what it is. It looks like my instincts tell me could it be burnout? I know it's June, but is it burnout? It's been a good run here for them. They went to the NLCS in 2022. They did all right in 2023. Not really, but 2024 they were in a lot of ways favored to go all the way. What's next for the San Diego Padres? Where's their psyche? Because I'm looking at Fernando Tatis at the plate. He doesn't look comfortable. Doesn't look comfortable at all. Manny Machado, he's one of those guys. It doesn't matter if the world is coming to an end or it's flowers and candy. He plays the same way no matter what. So what is it about that team? What's missing? because they've changed managers. They've gone through this ownership thing that's going on right now, and it looks like that's kind of subsided in terms of the drama. So it looks like that's kind of probably going the right way, which is good. Because again, I don't want anything to happen to the San Diego Padres. I prefer the Padres to stay in San Diego because it's one of the few places that I actually enjoy going to and watching a ball game, and also just going to go to a ball game. Downtown San Diego is a very nice place, very easy to navigate. Maybe it's because I lived there for almost 20 years. But point is, I don't know, and that's it, Johnny. That's a good point. I don't know what their identity is either. It's still kind of early. I know it's June, but I'm kind of laying the bricks down a little bit on this one to see where they're gonna go after probably the All-Star break. Are they going to get out of this? Are they going to wake up? Are they going to realize that they are supposed to be better than they are? Right now, looking at the score, if they lose tonight, it looks like it will be I think a 5.5 game deficit for them in the division, with the Giants ahead of them a couple games. I don't know how that's going to play out. I think they're still in the playoffs. I have to look at the standings as of today, but it would be a catastrophic disaster if they don't make the playoffs with this much talent. And the question is, if they continue to play like this through December and end up, I don't know, being in fourth place, looking like they're not going to make the playoffs, are they going to start trading guys? Dylan Cease? Are they going to look at other players that they can move around? I don't know. That's a question that I guess we'll have to ask probably in August. But they're going to have to get their act together and start getting on this. The Giants, on the other hand, I still haven't been able to get a good gauge on them. I know why they're playing better. I know why they're kind of inspired at this point. Buster Posey is running the show over there. And, when you have a guy like that around you, you can't help but gravitate towards a born winner. Buster Posey is a born winner, a born leader, and he can inspire. And a lot of times that's not really the case when it's a great player trying to, let's say, coach or manage or be a general manager. That's not always the case. A lot of times, the greater you've been as a player, it's harder to transfer that in a leadership role in the front office or as a manager, as a coach. But seems like Buster Posey here a few months in has already kind of shown that kind of winner attitude and the winner mentality in San Francisco. But I don't know. The jury's still out on them. I don't know if they're going to end up hitting the wall at some point. A few injuries here and there. Are they going to kind of fall apart? I don't know. But again, it's kind of nice to have that competition there because it keeps the Dodgers fresh in the competitive mindset. And the fact that the Dodgers have been scrambled eggs the first 3 months of the season due to almost every pitcher of theirs being out. Not a bad gig being up 3.5 after almost 3 months now. So we'll get to some of your comments here. Let's see here. Johnny, 2 games from fourth place. That's true. Do you think the Dodgers are serious about Mackenzie Gore or Jacob deGrom? I don't have an answer there, Johnny. I don't know. With all due respect to Jacob deGrom, there's some that say he's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. I haven't really made that assessment yet. I haven't really sat down and thought about that. But Jacob deGrom might be on the back end of his career, like a lot. And acquiring someone that's kind of that's had problems, I don't know if that's something you want to do. As far as Mackenzie Gore, I think if the right deal makes sense, sure. But I am hearing information that Tyler Glasnow is going to be here soon. He's going to be here very, very soon. Snell is going to be back very soon. And Roki Sasaki might be back very soon. So if those three are going to be back, then you're going to have the guys like Kershaw, May, Yamamoto, and then the 3 boys that I just mentioned that are going to be back. I think that's going to be enough. Kasperius is there to fill in for any kind of Shohei Ohtani type starts, where if he decides to, if Roberts decides to start him just a couple innings for the first month, and that's it, let Kasperius kind of do that. It's going to be, again, a scrambled egg situation in terms of how they're going to mix all this up. But for me, I'm looking at I don't know if I have a lot of confidence in Tyler Glass now. I have a feeling that they've left him off a little bit here due to the fact that they're trying to see if he can finish the season off without as much wear and tear. And then Roki Sasaki is a 50-50 for me. Is he hurt? Because his velocity was down even last year before he even played in the majors. So is that going to be something they're going to test? And if it's not going to work, are they worried about him getting a Tommy John situation? Is his shoulder going to be too lackadaisical for him to finish off the season? I think that's something I'm going to monitor on him. But then Snell has a habit of not doing a lot at the beginning of the year and then doing very well the second half of the year. So I have a lot of confidence that Snell will be the guy that I'm going to be waiting on, and we're likely going to see that guy do what the Dodgers signed him up for. So you have Yamamoto, who's, the thing with Yamamoto, the Dodgers have to really, really help this guy at this point. I mean, he has had absolutely horrid run support. Now, he's had a couple of bad outings, the last 3 outings, but that happens during a course of the year. It doesn't matter. Even Oral Hershiser in his greatest year, one of the greatest pitching years of all time in 1988, lost 8 games that year, won 23, but he still lost eight games, right? So I'm not worried about the record, obviously, the win-loss record, but I think the Dodgers are due giving this guy some run support here in the next few months so that he can actually have a chance at maybe even getting into the Cy Young discussion and just building that confidence up before he gets to the playoffs. Snell, Yamamoto. I don't know when Ohtani's going to pitch 4 to 5 innings. That's the 3 there. And then we have Dustin May, who is hit and miss in a lot of ways, whether it's in the game or every other game. I don't know. I think I'd heard the term innings eater. I think Dustin May is an innings eater on this roster. That's how I'm going to look at it. And I think that's the only way you can look at it. Is Kasperius going to be someone that could be a regular? I don't know. Kershaw has looked great. So I was thinking about this, and I know I'm thinking ahead a little bit. It's June. It's still early. You still have July, August, and September. But let's say the Dodgers wrap up best record by the end of the year. And I'm going to just throw this out there. Let's say Glasnow doesn't make it and Roki doesn't make it because they want to shut those guys down before something major happens, right? Or let's just say something does happen. Let's say Roki needs his shoulder scoped or something like that, right? So now you're looking at Yamamoto, Snell, Kershaw, Dustin May, and probably Gosselin. Who are the 4 pitchers you're taking into the playoffs? Who are the ones that you would prefer to have there? Looking at how Shohei has pitched so far, I'm going to have to include him in the 4. So is it going to be Yamamoto, Snell, Kershaw, and Ohtani? That's the 4 that's kind of lingering in my head. Is Dustin May going to replace Kershaw if there is a playoff roster? Will they be switched in and out depending on which series they win to the next? They at least have a lot of options there. And then the Dodgers aren't afraid to have a bullpen game either in a game if they have to. But I would prefer to have at least 3 really, really strong pitchers going in. And I believe there's a chance that Yamamoto, Snell, and Ohtani might be those 3 with a little bit of the Kasperius in there to cover Ohtani. But the Ohtani thing is very intriguing because we're going to have to make an assessment on how his energy is at the end of the year. Do they want him to pitch in a high-stressed playoff game when they need his bat? Those are all things that I do wish, and I'm glad I'm not the manager to deal with. But whether Kershaw will ever see the playoffs again is still an unknown. Whether Dustin May is playoff worthy, whether Tony Gosselin will be the other guy, whether Roki or Glasnow make it through. Those are all, I guess, areas that we're not going to know what they are until the end of the year. Will they see something between now and August that says, well, we're going to miss out on a couple of guys here to finish the season? Then maybe it's time to go get somebody like Gore or DeGrom if that is the option. I think it's too early to know. I think it's going to depend on which ones lame out at that point, which major pitcher that they were expecting to be available at the end of the year will be lamed out. Okay, let's see. Emmett Sheehan looked really good. Absolutely. I have not included him in this yet, although I was extremely impressed by his performance in his first game. It's a damn good problem to have. I'll tell you that. I don't want to jinx it for him, but if Sheehan has this ability, and you have someone like Kasparius there, and Kasparius has obviously gotten a lot of run here. The bullpen in general has gotten a lot of run here. We could see some piggyback games maybe in the playoffs, or maybe in August and September, and I'm all for that. Whatever it takes to keep at least 3 pitchers that the Dodgers have, and I'm talking about whoever it is. I'm not going to try to pick at this point. I think I've gone through the pitching and who's involved and who might be there and who is it. The Dodgers just need 3 pitchers that are available every single season, every single series, should they advance, so that they can have the best possible chance of winning those games. Someone that can pitch 5 to 6 innings in each of those games. I have no doubt that if the Dodgers have 3 starting pitchers going into the playoffs, like legitimate starting pitchers, guys that are starting pitchers, right? Like Emmett is a guy that is a starting pitcher, is a bullpen guy. Kasparius is a bullpen guy, can be a starting pitcher. All those, I'm talking like the Yamamotos and the Snells and the Glasnows, those guys, right? The Kershaws. If those guys, if 3 of those guys are healthy and pitching well going into the playoffs, that's all the Dodgers need, likely, to make another really, really good run here. Now, what's going to be important for the Dodgers, like in any series in the future in the playoffs, is the hitting. And that's something I wanted to talk about too tonight. Is the Dodgers have, up until I think the 4th inning or 5th inning, I can't remember where it was, against Washington yesterday, they just seemed like they were. It seems like they've been hitting a slump, especially at the top of the lineup. Ohtani was off for really 10 days. I think it was 2 for 12. I think for a minute and for a minute there before he hit that triple, and then to clear the bases. And then Mookie's struggling a little bit, and then Freddie Freeman can't seem to catch up to the ball. So I know Freeman's been dealing with some injuries, although they haven't presented that as a problem. Now, Freeman has had a habit of being lights out when he's hurt. He's one of those guys that actually plays better when he's hurt for some reason. It's just one of the way his brain works. He had a hit yesterday, and you could see in his face, he was just, because it was kind of a blooper, you could see he was upset. And that's one of the things I love about Freddie Freeman, is he's never happy when he's not playing well. And I love that. Love when he feels like he's not doing what he's supposed to, and he's irritated. So I have no doubt that Freddie's going to get out of his funk, because he's too great of a hitter and too mentally strong to not to. There's been some questions about Mookie. Mookie, is shortstop taking a lot of his energy from the plate? I don't know that answer. I don't, and I've been fairly impressed. Not overly impressed, because I expected this. This is Mookie Betts, guys. You know, I think people forget that. And this is Mookie Betts, and him moving the shortstop at the beginning of this year instead of kind of halfway or half-assed like last year. I think is a little different. I think he had a chance to prepare in the offseason to do what he's been doing, and he's actually, his defensive rating is pretty damn good. I think I saw him second, I think, a few days ago at shortstop. So he's playing Gold Glove type defense. Whether that's affecting his hitting is going to be a discussion that's going to probably continue throughout the year. I don't know. If he starts to hit here in a few weeks, then it's probably not. But I don't know. I have no idea how to assess what's going on, because you look at somebody like Freddie Freeman, he's struggling. You look at someone like Shohei, who's not on the field, he's struggling. I don't know how to base that off of anything. But what's been great is Max Muncy, and this is what happens in baseball, guys. This is what happened. It's what happened during the playoff run last year. You have guys that are going to be consistent. Then you're going to have one guy that shows up in one series and another guy that's not going to show up. And then they kind of flip flop in the next series, and then they flip flop back again in the next series. That's baseball. So right now, what's helped the Dodgers is their middle and lower lineups have been huge in covering for the top of the lineup since they've been struggling. So you have Padres, who, by the way, I think is in 7th place now in the voting. He needs to get the 6 to qualify to the next level to have a chance at getting to the All-Star. So everybody who can vote, please vote for Andy Padres. He is an All-Star, and he deserves to be there. Andy's been playing well. Muncy got out of his funk and is playing like Muncy can. Hit his 200 homer in against Washington. No, actually, that was against San Diego, I think it was. I got to check that. I forgot. But he hit his 200th home run. And yesterday, he ended up having 7 RBIs, hit a grand slam, and hit a 3-run homer. So Muncy looks like is back and seeing the ball well. God bless Max Muncy. I was a little bit hesitant on how to assess Max Muncy at the beginning of the year. There were times where I was like, what the hell is going on? But I kept that normally in my head. I did say it to a couple of friends of ours, but ultimately, I think in my heart, I was trying to give Max the benefit of the doubt. And of course he's come through on switching back to what we know him as, and that is someone who gets on base either via walk or gets home runs. So good for Max Muncy. I'm proud and happy that he's doing well, and I'm hoping he continues to play as well as he has. Andy Paz playing well, Max Muncy playing well. Unfortunately, Michael Conforto is still struggling. He did have a hit in the last game, did have I think an RBI, so that was good. But again, you can't have a perfect team, right? They're going to probably wait this out until the All-Star break, and then at that point make a decision, because the trading deadline won't be too far off from there. Hae-Sung Kim doing what he does. I know he's struggling in center field, but he doesn't belong there, and I think there's no. They got to keep Edman kind of healthy here. I think his ankle's still bothering him. They're keeping him at second. Edman had a really good game against San Diego during that series at second. I thought he kept the Dodgers in some of those games by making some really good plays there. So I can't really fault Roberts or the Dodgers for doing what they're doing. You're trying to get Kim in there to get his hitting. He's batting just under 400 still. And, you got to put him somewhere, right? So it is what it is. I'm hoping that it doesn't become a problem when it matters. I think the ultimate lineup here down the road will likely be Edman at center, and then Pages at left, Teo at right, and then having Hae-Sung Kim at second. I think that's probably going to be the closing lineup when it matters, unless there's a trade that happens. But I don't know. Where are you going to put these guys? Are you going to sit Kim and lose his speed and lose his bat? Because he's doing really well, especially when he's in the 8th or 9th position. Same with Edman. I mean, I'm telling you, that's a cheat code when you have somebody like Edman at the 8 and Kim at the 9. Imagine that. You have to start the bottom of that lineup, really at the almost the tail end of it, with Edman and then Kim. Now imagine in a playoff game, you have Edman getting on base, and then you have Kim getting on base for Ohtani at 1, which, by the way, we're going to talk about that here because that's been a topic of discussion everywhere about why is Ohtani still leading off if he's going to start pitching. So, but again, the positive in having Ohtani there isn't at the beginning of the game. It's the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th at bats where that becomes a stress barrier, a stressor to the opposition. That's why he's still there, and I'm in support of it. So when it matters, when the playoffs hit, You're going to have Edman at the 8 and Kim at the 9, and then you have Shohei at the 1. That's why you can't really move him out of there. And then when you're tired of when you're able to strike him out, because Ohtani basically averages a strikeout a game, right? Then you got to deal with Betts. Then you got to deal with Freeman. Then, oh, by the way, I haven't even mentioned Will Smith. I guess it's just been normal for Will Smith. He's going to be an all-star as well. And Dalton Rushing is starting to get he's starting to get a little bit better game in and game out, doing well behind the plate. The throw out on the steal yesterday, even though he made it but slid off again, that doesn't happen unless he has a perfect throw. So props to Rushing. He's improving, he's getting hits, and he's also resting up Will Smith. It's very hard, guys. It's very hard. Some of us, not me, of course, you get angry at some of these guys who are not hitting well. People upset that Kike isn't hitting well. Not too upset because, again, Kike is a fan favorite. But I want you guys to factor in rhythm and consistency. It's very hard to come off the bench and just start hitting well. I mean, Kike's the ultimate team player. He's getting plugged in and doing his things. Rojas struggled a little bit. Now he's getting out of that as well. You're getting that. You're going to get that when you're not consistently hitting, right? So give these guys a break when they're not playing all the time. They're going to have a consistency issue, or they might run into these slumps because they're not playing. To me, I'm a firm believer that you got to play all the time to continue to get better, or to stay consistent. And for those who can come in and have a pinch hit that matters and play really well when they're covering for somebody else, hey, man, that's a talent in itself. So props to Rojas, props to Kike, props to Rushing. They're filling in the gaps as well as they can, and I commend them for it. As far as Michael Conforto is concerned, I guess if you came to me and said, Joe, you're only going to have really one guy that's not going to really be playing well, that you're probably going to see a lot, hey, it's a 26-man roster. It's one guy. Yeah, you don't want him there, but how about that dive catch that saved 2 runs the other day? That's one thing that Conforto does really well at left field, is left field. I think other than maybe Pajes, he's probably the best left fielder that the Dodgers have right now. So you got to look at that aspect as well. And I've seen Conforto go on stretches. Maybe he gets out of the funk, and I see why they're sticking with him. And it's not affecting too much of the Lakers win-loss stuff. The only thing really that bothers me with the Dodgers in terms of losing is their inability to hit when they have so much talent. That's probably the only thing. The only reason why the other thing is pitching. The pitching is, I'd like to see more consistency on the pitching. I'd like to see more of our starters go 5-6 instead of getting killed and having to bounce out after 3 or 4 innings. I want to see more consistent 6-inning performances. I think that's probably the one wish I have. Yeah, hold on. I think Jeff's hit me up. Come on board when you can. Okay, let's get back to some of your comments, gentlemen and ladies. Let's see. At least we don't have Nick Teague. The thing is with, I swear, Halliburton gets arrows thrown at him for no reason. Oh, he's overrated. Oh, he's this, he's that. I'm like I've never, it's amazing how you'll see over one set of people say overrated, not that important, to he blows out his Achilles, and all of a sudden that's why the Pacers lost the finals. It's like, geez, pick one, guys. Are you guys not able to assess talent? I mean, Tyrese Halliburton is a very, very, very good player. Of course, we're going to say, anybody who's watched the series, the NBA Finals, of course you're going to say they didn't win because he got hurt. Of course he's going to give them a better chance to win. He's their best player. We'll never know. It rarely happens like this, but it's part of the game, guys. I mean, Kevin Durant, to some degree, same thing happened to him, and the Warriors lost to Toronto in 2019. It's just what it is. Bad luck, bad timing. All that happens, and that's part of the 82-game season and the 4-series run to win a championship. That's why it's hard to win it, man. Let's see. I am happy we made it out to the playoff. I wish I could say that as a fan. Make it to the finals and losing to me is worse than losing in the first round. That's true, Jay. That's true, Jay. 3-game lead in the division, and Dodgers aren't even playing well. Well, I mean, saying that the Dodgers haven't played well is, I think it's based off of who they are. I think anyone else you tell that to, even like baseball people, they'll laugh at your face. They think you're stupid. Like, wait a minute, these guys are the second best record in the league, and you're telling me they're not playing well? It's true, though. It's true. I mean, these guys are. I mean, this team has probably, on paper, they have probably one of the greatest rosters that's ever been assembled, and it will be solidified should they win the title, regardless of the fact that most of their pitchers have been gone most of the year. That won't matter. Because that's kind of the landscape of baseball anyways. And that's something we'll talk about here before I leave tonight too. How baseball is going to fix this pitching issue. They got to start getting on this. This is starting to get stupid now. 300 pitchers at one point were on the IL. 300 pitchers. That's like 10 a team. There's only 30 teams in Major League Baseball. You're talking about, on the average, 10 pitchers. 10 pitchers. The roster is only 26 on game day. So more than 1/3 of your roster is out. Every single team. That is a crazy statistic. If this was a disease, if this was, I don't know, batters batting 150 a game, you would think that they were going to probably, hey, what's going on with the bats? Hey, what's going on with the balls? Hey, why isn't anybody hitting anything? Like, I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. The first thing that came to my head, like, why does it Major League Baseball? Why aren't they talking about this? There's got to be something that needs to be looked into here, man. I mean, at some point, you took away any chance of them putting snot on the ball or earwax on the ball. Every time they sneeze off the rubber, it's a balk. They got a pitching clock now. If you don't abide by that, you got to lose a ball or whatever. And then on top of that, you have every analytical statistic that's going to say, oh, you're going to pitch this ball right here in the 6th inning when you face the lineup for the 3rd time. I mean, baseball has given the pitcher every single negative to suck and everything to the batter. For what? Because the chicks dig the long ball. Is that what it is? But I mean, come on, man. At some point, you got to help the guy a little bit. Tommy John, my own wife, she's in the kitchen listening to games, right? I'm there watching the game. She can hear the games. And as soon as she hears Tommy John, she's like, oh, my God, another one? That happened like 3 times in a row last week. Oh, another Tommy John. She don't even know who the hell Tommy John is. She's like, what is this Tommy John? All I hear is about Tommy John. Anyways, I got to bring in my boy, Empire Jeff. What's up, bud? How you doing?
What's going on? Tommy John in the kitchen, huh?
I got to throw some spousal info every now and then. I thought that would be a funny story. I was sitting, she was cooking in the kitchen, and she's like, there it is, Tommy John again.
Yeah, my wife would have no idea. She'd probably think it was like beef jerky or something, like or like a hotel
or hot dogs. Yeah,
hot dogs. Yeah, like she would no idea.
Well, again, I've gone a little bit. I've gone through the Dodger 10-day homestand here. My God, they needed this break, this 1-day break, so bad. I felt like there was a look. There was a look Mookie had. I can't remember what game it was. I think it was Friday's game. It was one of the games where he got an RBI. No. It was a pop-up, and they scored, and we scored, right? I think that's what it was. Anyways, he's in the dugout, and the camera was on him, and I just see him do this. As soon as I saw him do that, I'm like, all right, I think he needs a day off. I think Mookie needs a day off. Something's going on with his head, with his body. He is tired. Whether it's shortstop, whether it's something going on at home that he's dealing with that no one knows, I don't know. But Mookie looks like he needs a break, and I think he might need a break for like 3 or 4 days. I don't know. What do you think it is?
I think it's a combination of things. Hold on, we got a trade just popped up across the screen here. NBA.
Is this NBA?
Yeah, Celtics starting to dump. Holiday back to Portland. Holiday. Oh, they got off on Simons.
Boston has traded Drew Holiday to Portland for
and 2 second-round
Simons.
picks. I think Simons has less years on the deal.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up. But anyways, that's not earth-shattering. What was I going to say? So the Mookie thing is I think Mookie is just a culmination of just having a really weird season. The way it started, he put all the work in the offseason to go to shortstop. He's been playing phenomenal there. And then to start the season, he gets that bug where he loses 25 pounds. He's had a foot injury. He's got all kinds of things that just continue to linger. And I don't think I think when he was starting to find himself was when he hurt himself again. And I just don't think he's had a clean stretch. And I think if I'm Mookie, which I'll never be, but Mookie, I think, has probably got his eyes on the All-Star break because he's probably not going to make it this year. And I think he's thrilled about that. And to get a week off and kind of just rest and reset and probably come back and have a pretty strong second half of the year. I don't know how much you talked about prior. I was late. I was walking the pup. So,
by the way, nice hat.
Oh, thank you.
I saw that. I saw that on your short. I was like, red is. It's not my favorite color, but red hits sometimes when I'm in the closet. I don't know why. I see it and I'm like, yep, today's a red day.
Yeah, no. I've been getting hell in my comment section. Dodgers how dare you? I'm like, the Dodgers have red on their jerseys.
Yeah.
Like it's part of their colors.
It's part of the color.
Part of the colors. I get so much hell. Oh, you're an Angel fan. Oh, you're this. Like, oh my God, bro.
That's not the same red.
Yeah, no, the Dodgers have red on their jerseys. They have red on their jerseys. They have it on their home jerseys. They have it on their away jerseys. Their numbers are red. Lord. All right. And in the Dodger logo, not just like the one with the baseball coming in, there's red in it. Anyways, I digress. But anyway, so I think Mookie's going to take some time off there. And like I said, I don't know if you touched on this or not, but I think the Dodgers have an internal struggle right now because you have two guys who probably want to bat first. I think one is better at first than he is at second or third, and one is great everywhere. And I think the team wants Ohtani coming up as much as possible, probably especially later in games and in playoff rounds. And so it's a weird situation. And maybe it's something you go back to, but I think they got to give Mookie a little familiarity. If you're going to take him out of right field, if you're going to take him out of the one spot, he's done everything. Him and Freddie have, obviously Freddie's played the same position, but Freddie and Mookie have been moved around the lineup. They've been professionals about it. Where's my ring? Just thinking about that right now. They've done everything right as far as being taken for the team. And I think it's time the team gives Mookie a little familiarity there. And quite frankly, give Shohei a little break. And I think it's fine if Shohei bats leadoff every game, but I don't think he should bat leadoff when he pitches. Having to run from the mound to get out there to take the first at bat of a game after you just pitch. What if he goes 30 pitches in an inning? And you're going to set him up to a bat first? I don't love it. I mean, Shohei is not of this earth. It's probably nothing to him. But I think psychologically, I think it would give a little bit of a boost to Mookie. I think Mookie batting in front of Shohei as opposed to behind Shohei is going to be pitched different. And for a guy you're trying to get going, and for a guy who's made all the sacrifices, I think it's time to put him in his normal spot for a little bit. Let him get hot again. Let him start feeling good again. And then after the All-Star break, when he comes back probably healthier, then you can kind of get back to what you got going. But that's my kind of take on it from that standpoint. But the the 10 game, I want to talk about that real quick because they just went through a gauntlet. Forget the 10 game, forget the 13 game with the Padres. You know, you had the Mets twice, you had the Yankees, you had St. Louis in St. Louis. And for those who haven't been paying attention, they're having a pretty decent to strong year considering what people thought they were. Then you have the whole NL West Fest, right? You have the Padres for 7, Giants for 3. So that's 10 games at the time where I think the Giants came into that series a half game back, the Padres 3 games back, the San Diego one when they were in San Diego. So to go through that and get separation after facing all those teams. And I like the Dodgers going into every series with at least a series gap between the teams behind them. So like if they get swept and the other team sweeps, at worst they're tied. So it's like the Dodgers are starting to get that separation. Padres are getting the break speed off them right now. We'll see if that holds. It's a good thing to see the Nationals aren't just a pest to us, but they're going to start to get some separation here. And the difference is when these guys fall off, the Giants and the Padres, when they hit their little rut, the Dodgers are going to be getting guys back. And come July, I think I've been talking about this. I think come August is when this team is going to really go. And I think when that happens, we're going to see that separation. I think they win this division by more than 6 or 7 games once they get those guys back. And you got Glass now rehabbing, Snell's behind him. You know, I told you I didn't never believe that Roki stuff. It never made sense to me. It still doesn't appear to be right. I don't know what they're doing there, but I think they're getting all 3 back.
It's, by the way, we did discuss a little bit of the 10 game. And then, of course, the Ohtani thing. I'm in support of him leading off because, especially during the playoffs, I said because of the playoffs, because when you have Edman at 8 and then now you have Kim at 9,
yeah,
it's really the beginning of the game where it's somewhat tight. But when he gets his second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth at bats, that's where that stress starts to, accumulate. So now you have a pitcher that's in a high stress situation already, right, in the playoff game. And then as soon as I'm just going to say this now because of where they are now. You have Conforto at 7, let's say. And I try to give Conforto some props too. Conforto at least can play left field. And he might be probably the best left fielder they have, maybe behind Pies, right? So at least there's value there in some degree. And they have some time to see how he can maybe bust out of this. I don't know. I'm indifferent with Conforto. I just don't have a feeling yet on that yet, right? But anyways, so let's say you get the Conforto, and then as soon as Conforto's gone, now you got to deal with Edman. Now you got to deal with Kim. And if you get Edman on base and then Kim on base, and then now you got to deal with Ohtani, it's so draining. It's so draining. Every big hit in the playoffs was followed by Shohei draining the pitcher. And maybe maybe I'm looking into it too much. Maybe I'm making it up in my own head. But seriously, Garrett Cole having to go through him before Mookie ended up doing what he did, and what I'm saying is when Mookie ran the first base, it wasn't so much Mookie ran the first base. It was the fact that Garrett Cole was so taxed mentally at that point. His brain shut down. You could see it as the play was going on. Like,
couldn't even make a routine play.
Right. Yeah. So, and then of course you had the grand slam before that. It's like, dude, Ohtani's the type of guy. It's not just his performance. It's the stress he gives you. Mm-hmm. It's constant. It's every at bat. You're constantly killing yourself because you're scared. And you can't put a price to that. You can't. I mean, God help the league if Ohtani cuts down his strikeouts like in the next few years. I'm not saying he will. I'm just saying that's the only thing that's kept him human is the fact that he is going to try to swing and he's going to get a lot of strikeouts. He's going to Reggie Jackson it, basically. He's like Reggie Jackson in that department. So I'm not I'm in the moment. When I'm not in the moment, when it's a day off like today, everything is hunky-dory. Oh, Dodgers are second best record in the league. They're not even strapped 100%. Glasnow's going to be coming back. Snell's going to be coming back. Is Roki going to be coming back? I mean, come on, man. You're looking at Will Smith. I mean, Dalton Rushing is coming through now. If Dalton Rushing does what he's done in the last week, oh my God, God help you. If Will Smith is. I forgot to mention Will Smith at the beginning of the show.
He's forgotten a lot.
I had forgotten to mention. I was talking about Otani, Mookie, Freddie, and their struggles, right? And then, of course, Pajes and all. And I haven't even talked about Teo yet. Okay, so that just goes to show you that the Dodgers have assembled, and there's no doubt about this. I don't think anybody will argue it. They have assembled on paper the greatest roster I've ever seen. If they win it all, no one is going to give a damn in June, May, July that people were out. All they're going to remember is those 3 series in October and maybe November. And then at that point, this team is put on a level that you can't help but say it as an all-time great. They don't have to win 111 games either. They just don't. This is not until MLB figures out what's going on with these pitchers. No, I'm sorry. They already know what's going on. Figures out a remedy. There needs to be something here. I mean, it's getting bad. Something that's the equivalent to pine tar for pitchers, so that they don't have to aggressively hold that ball so tight. And on top of that, you have to constantly be moving, right? Because the clock is on. There's something there that needs to get figured out. I just don't know what it is. And I don't know. There's a lockout that's likely coming in a year. I don't know if that's going to be part of the collective bargaining agreement, but I feel like that needs to be something that needs to be discussed. Let's see here.
Yeah,
it looks like Johnny
Corbin.
Corbin Carroll just broke his hand.
Well, that's confirmed broken. I know he's been out for he was out for a few games. And then what's his name just got hurt today. Suarez got hurt today. Wow, broken hand. That's 6 to 8 weeks. Wonder it took so long to diagnose that as a broken hand. He's been out a handful of games.
Maybe he was trying to play through it.
No, he was sitting.
Was he?
It's interesting. Okay. So he's out, man. That sucks. That they've gone through it with injuries like crazy as well. I think they lost 2 guys today, and now he's going to be out. That's a broken hand. That's 6 to 8 weeks retroactively about a week ago. So that's not good. They lost Burns for the season. Like I said, Suarez today. Marte's been in and out. So that team's already behind in the standings. Lose their best offensive player, their best pitcher. Wow. And that is what comes back to my big thing during the whole offseason when I was talking about it is the Dodgers position themselves to get themselves insurance as to what happened in last year's playoffs wouldn't derail their regular season. Now they lost Glasnow, they lost Snell, they lost Roki, they just got Shohei back for 2 innings so far, right? They've lost Trinan, Gratterall hasn't pitched yet. They just got Kopech back. Kirby Yates had a stint. Like, you have these guys in and out. We talked about Mookie. We talked about, like, even the way Freddie started, like, with his ankle. You've got all the Teo and Edmund going to IL at pretty much the same time. When you look at the masses, and then you had guys like Chris Taylor and Barnes on this roster, Conforto struggling, Muncy struggling. When you look at everything they've gone through, and one thing, why I always kind of push back on the Dave Bashers, the one thing that I really see, and the one thing that I think is his true genius isn't always the in-game stuff, right? It's his belief in his players and the ability to get them through things. Not a lot of teams would have rode with Muncy as long as they did. Not a lot of teams would have rode with Walker Buehler as long as they did, and that paid off. Not a lot of teams would have kept a Dustin May around like this. Like, a lot of teams and a lot of managers wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have like brought back a Trinan like this. Wouldn't have re-put him back together. Wouldn't have been able to bring a Cole back in here. Couldn't throw a strike in Chicago. Like there's a lot of things that Dave does that gives confidence to players, and it's why none of the players dislike him. Now, he'll get bashed, he'll make his mistakes, he'll do things, and that's fine. But he believes it's a strategy that's going to lead to a world championship. And what's happening now with Conforto, I'm kind of like you. I'm indifferent. I've seen enough of his career. There's a big enough sample size to know that he is better than this. It has not clicked yet. It has not worked. They're still riding with him. Now, when you get to the postseason, and if you got him batting seventh, and you talk about stress, you talk about stress of Ohtani. Let's say you're in the bottom of the ninth, top of the ninth, just bottom third innings, a tie ball game, 1-run ball game, and you got Conforto up there. And your mind is like, if this guy gets on, and you got Kim or Edmund, the double play gets more difficult. The pressure to, as crazy as it sounds, the pressure to get Conforto out goes up immensely, because if he gets on and there's a hit, now you're playing with fire. So the stress to get the seventh guy out, because the eighth and ninth guy are probably better, you just open up a whole new can of worms. So you have to pitch to get him out. You got to throw him strikes. And Conforto's sample size and Conforto's skill set tells you he can get one of those. He can send one. Now, will he? Maybe not. But I guarantee you the pitcher's not stepping up on that mound, staring down Michael Conforto, thinking this is a layup. They're just thinking, don't let it be against me. Don't let him break out against me. I got Shohei 3 batters later. These are the things that are going to go through a pitcher's mind when Conforto comes up the bat. If, and this is a big if he's still on this team come playoff time. And like you said, if you got Edmund or Kim or whoever's back there, Conforto's that one that you got to get out. And that's going to be in your mind. And if you can't get him, then you just open up, you potentially just set up a crooked inning for yourself. And that's the pressure. And that's the beauty of having Ohtani batting one. But when you go down that path of all these different things, and they're still, as of right now, the best record in the National League, and they probably will end up with the best record overall in baseball before it's all said and done. And that's Dave Roberts does not get manager of the year this year. That's crazy. It's crazy.
That's a lot of the reasons why Phil Jackson, other than in 1996, I think he only won one in 96 when they went 72-10. The Roberts thing, it's I think the only thing that's bothered me is the Kike thing with Roberts this year.
I don't love it either. I don't love it.
Yeah,
I borderline understand it, but I don't love it.
I don't. I know it doesn't affect the game, but it looks like slop ball. I don't like it. I'm sorry, I don't. I think if you got to stash a AAA pitcher that in certain games during the week, do that. I don't want to ever see Kike pitch again. Honestly, I thought the last two outings were. This last outing was the one that really hit me. The one that they were up 11-0 and he ended up
the Giants won the grand
slam. That one
one
bothered me because I wanted that sucker to be clean, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was more a selfish thing for me. But today, yesterday's was that pissed me off. I'm like, dude, you're gonna have to send in Vessi anyways. Just send him in. You have a day off tomorrow. That's a reaction in the moment thing. If you're gonna sit and continue to dog on every fucking thing that doesn't make you feel good, then that's a you problem.
Mm-hmm.
No one was more critical of Dave Roberts than I for years, ever since the Kershaw debacle in 19. That was when it started. Didn't start in 18, even though I had a legitimate argument. Why the hell did you take Rich Hill out in game 4? Mm-hmm. I didn't see any issues in 17, really. 16, that 16, 15, whatever. Again, those all 16 because that's was his first year. But it, it it's a professional sports is brutal. Even if somebody knows the game, even if someone understands that, not, of course, we're going to jump on something that because it didn't work out versus when it did, right? But when you've been a Dodger fan as long as I have, I had the taste of something amazing when I was 10 years old. That was a short stint. And then I had to watch 5 straight rookies of the year in the 90s. I had to watch an idiot ownership trade Mr. Dodger. Basically, what you saw with Luka Doncic in Dallas is what they did to Mike Piazza. Mike Piazza was the last favorite player I've had in my life. Like, I was still a kid at the time. I was 18 years old, right? Like, Mike Piazza was my guy from '93 when he came in. My dad, I remember from this day to this day, I remember the first time I saw him in a Dodger uniform. That was back when we didn't have any chance of knowing what was going on in AAA, AA. I had no idea what the hell any of that shit was. So this guy named Mike Pizza comes up. We were calling him Pizza. Hey, who's this pizza guy?
A lot of people call him Pizza. Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, hey, this guy can ball. And I'm thinking Karros the year before, Piazza, Raul Mondesi, who looked like the second coming of Roberto Clemente, could throw anybody out at right field. And then you have Hideo Nomo. Then you had Hollinsworth out of nowhere getting a rookie of the year. I'm like, dude, didn't Hollinsworth play like 3 months the year before? But somehow he qualified to win the following 5 straight rookies of the year, and abysmal endings every year in the 90s. And then on top of that, O'Malley's trade to Fox. Fox does what they do. And at that point, I'm just like, dude, this sucks ass. That was a horrible decade. Then 2000s come in. Fox gets tired and sells it to Frank McCourt. Again, I don't know who the hell Frank McCourt is from a tennis court. So hey, at least we had something in 08 and 09. That's all I got. Sort of in 04, a little bit, but nothing in the sense of, man, this team is going to be a perennial contender. Then you get into the 2010s and you start the decade off with the Giants championship, and then a Giants championship 2 years later, and then a Giants championship 2 years later. I didn't know who the hell Mark Walter was. I didn't know who the hell the Guggenheims were when they took over in 12. All I remember is 13 and 14. All I remember is Hanley Ramirez debacle in 13 and 14. Motherfucking St. Louis Cardinals getting at Kershaw in the 7th inning when they should have won that championship that year, right? I wanted Giants and Dodgers so bad in the NLCS because I felt like, man, they're going to whoop the shit out of this team. And then everything changed after that. I started seeing them make the playoffs. This was 13. This was 14. This is 15. All of a sudden, 16. I'm like, man, they went to the playoffs 4 years in a row.
Yeah, they couldn't be touched, really.
Right? And then 17, I'm like, dude, this is their year. And I'm going to leave it at that because I can't talk anymore about 17. I'm going to go crazy. So the mentality of winning when you're expecting wins instead of being mediocre is in a lot of ways worse than when you suck. Because when you suck, it's like, you kind of forget about it. Oh, they suck. And then you go about your ways.
Supposed to be there.
Yeah. Right? For me, greatness is what my brain looks at. I want greatness. I want great actors. I want great movies. I want great sports teams. I want greatness. I want to see greatness. So as I see things even out, and I'm putting that lightly, oh, well, there needs to be more inclusion. There needs to be more opportunity. Those are all bad words when I hear those words, because I'm like, what do you mean opportunity? We have technology literally in our hand we know everything, we know where everything is, and we can go anywhere we want. What exactly are you talking about here? I want talent and I want greatness. So now, when I look back at the Roberts situation, those losses, and losses, it's not just the Dodgers, it's any losses, is the greatness that gets missed. We talked about Kobe. I've talked about Kobe. I've talked about Shaq. How different their careers would have been had they not lost the two finals they lost. And it's a good discussion to have because they were favorite in those finals. Those are finals they're supposed to win. It changes their career stats and their greatness. They're still gonna be Shaq and Kobe, but their greatness level goes up if they don't lose those finals because accomplishment. Let's move over to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan. Why is Michael so great? It's because he never lost in the biggest stage. That plays a factor in that. So, the Dodgers right now have the best team on paper, and it's being managed about as well as it can be managed, being that they're, a half a game out of best record in the league? And we're talking about, it's almost July now. This is not like, oh, this is still May or late April. No, it's like, this is what it is. And getting on Roberts for anything other than the Kike thing, I think is a waste of time because managing another 3 months of spaghetti arms is very, very hard. Very hard.
Yep.
And I've liked the fire. I don't remember him being this angry in the past. Is it just me that's noticing that, or is it? What,
I mean, he's gotten into it with a few Padre managers. I mean, going back to like 2017.
He's had some reactions to stuff too. Just besides the party, he's got a little bit of an edge to him. And my guess, the edge is there because that's when things changed last year. Maybe. So
I think it's a combination of things. I think it's things changed last postseason. I think it's they're the targeted. I think it's they hit his best player, right? And I think Dave's never been a bitch. He's been a company guy. He's been, if anyone who watched Dave Roberts play baseball, like he was a gritty guy, right? He got after it. He wasn't a guy that had the most talent in the world. He wasn't a guy that was a multiple time all-star. He was a guy that had to get out there and get it every single day. And I think that's how he manages. And I also think that there's probably my voice is shot from all those days at the stadium. I was like super like he is. I think we're really starting to see the edge that he carries. And it wasn't just that he got into it with the Padre manager. It's the things he said to him, right? It's the things that he said to him, and he meant it. Like, he meant it. Dave's kind of known as this gentleman, and he is one, right? But I also think that he has this edge to him where he's like, look, you're going to fuck around, you're going to find out. And don't take kindness for weakness. And I think he got tired of people second guessing him. I think he got tired of people thinking they know more than him. And to be honest, I think he got a little tired of maybe his own organization, like potentially putting him in position to wear it, even though that was kind of the arrangement, right? It's not just Dave that does all these strategies. It's a collective organizational effort. And it's always kind of been his to wear. And again, that's the arrangement. But I think he's like, look, if I'm going to wear this, I'm going to do this my way, certain things. And I think we're starting to see a little bit of that with Dave. He's a 2-time World Series champion. He's been to the World Series 4 times. He's won one as a player. He's like, look, man, I'm a lifer. I've been in this thing the whole time. And you guys going to really think you know more about this game than me? But you think, look. He's going to show us rings. We're going to show this. That's what we have. For those who don't know, it's fucking DirecTV.
That's good.
Remote.
You got DirecTV.
Like, yeah. So it's not TV. It's DirecTV. But yeah. So
do the horn thing.
Yeah. No, where's the horn? But anyways, yeah. So it's like, he's probably tired of like the internet and social media and the couch coaches, the couch GMs, riding him all the time. And he's probably just to the point where he's like, back the fuck up already. I've proven myself. And he probably didn't feel he had the leg to stand until he got the second one. And that's kind of my take on it all. I think he's just sitting around and he's like, y'all need a tall glass of STFU and leave me alone. And I think we're kind of starting to see a different version of Shohei we never saw before, right? And we're starting to see a little side of Doc we didn't see before. And I think it's both good for the Dodgers.
Again, I'm in the wrong from a what's the word I'm looking for here?
Real quick, Dime, I see you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Sorry about that.
It's okay. I was gonna put it up there for you. From a cultural standpoint, I believe I'm in the wrong era. I probably should have been born probably 30 years earlier, or maybe 20 years earlier.
No, you should be a year of the medieval times era.
But then I don't know if I'd be saying the same things because the previous area was soft, right? I don't know. I guess that probably would happen, right? But from a technology, from a advancement standpoint, I am not against the technology and the social media type stuff. Go ahead.
No, I'm looking at the Padres score. Sorry. The Nationals are treating them like they treated the Dodgers on Saturday. Sorry.
Oh, is that so? What is it? 9-2 now?
9-3.
Oh, good. Mm-hmm. Well, they're gonna have to worry about Arizona creeping up now instead of having to go up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But from a technology, from an understanding of advanced times, we can sit here and cry all we want about it's not what it used to be. And this is the thing that kills me about these ex-players. So we get the blame, right? Because we've never played in the majors. We never played in the NFL. We never played in pro sports. But we're not the only ones talking like this. Guys who played in the NFL,
real quick. When I talk about when I poke my fun at the couch thing, it's not about the guys who haven't played or the guys that have played. It's the what you said earlier. Blaming him for everything is my thing. You're right. Your point is right. I don't mean to stop you right in the middle of it, but you're right. But my thing has always been about the ones that just never played or played, give no credit and only bash, and he's just like the whooping boy. That's my point.
It's worse. It's when he puts a pitcher in and the pitcher doesn't do what he's supposed to do. It's Robert's fault. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm. No, if you think that. Like I thought what they did to Sauer was he had one bad outing and now he sucks. It's like, dude, this guy's been pitching well. I didn't even know who the hell he was. Vesia said it best. I think it was during spring training when they were talking to him about. It might have been a post game thing in the playoffs. I can't remember, but he said, "Look, we all want to have a 1-2-3 inning, but that's just not very realistic." There's a difference between the pitcher performing and not performing versus the manager screwing up and putting somebody in there. Matson.
Yes.
Right? There's a difference, and you need to watch. So you had made a good point about, by the way, I used your example on basketball watchers versus other sports. People who watch basketball, all they got to do is watch the ball go back and forth, and they think they know everything. Gerald had mentioned something on the LFB last night about how there are people in Phoenix talking about, oh, they need to trade Bradley Beal. Oh, no shit, they need to trade Bradley Beal. How the fuck are you going to trade Bradley Beal when he's got this is a Phoenix Suns guy, right? So I used that example. I said, this is what Jeff was talking about. And why he kind of wasn't all Lakers. It was the environment. And I go, Jeff's trying to be a positive guy. Jeff's a positive guy. Likes to think of things calmly. So basketball doesn't allow you to do that sometimes because there's so many knuckleheads.
So toxic.
Right?
It's toxic.
Now, I flourish in toxicity. It's just kind of
and that's fine.
But most people don't want. No. I get it, and I'm saying that because that stuff doesn't bother me, but it bothers normal people. And it should bother you because it does create this angst. It does. Like my own family and friends, because I not affected by it, they're like, Joe, when my kids, when I'm on one on the show, right?
Mm.
They don't like it, even though it's an entertainment thing. They're in another room, but they can hear it, right? Every now and then. And they're like, we don't like it. It's too toxic. People don't want to be around that stuff. That's why when you go to a spin class or when you go to some communal whatever, everything's about like, go guys, seize the day and be who you want to be. And I'm sitting there like, like
fuck your day.
Right? Like that's the first thought. Like,
Yeah,
dude, just shut the fuck up already and let me exercise. Like I don't need
like I don't even talk like this on my show. You know what I mean? Like I don't even take it to that. Like
right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
The thing is, but you also have to understand that people are different. Okay, so you got this schmuck talking about they got to trade Bradley Beal, motherfucker. You can't. You should know this. You're in Phoenix.
Yeah.
They try to trade him. He denied it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where. Go ahead.
No. Sorry. I'm doing that thing where I agree with you and I almost interrupt. No, go ahead. Finish your point.
No, you don't. There's no such thing as interrupting in.
Oh
a
yeah.
show like this.
So I have that. I have that. It's like a leaky faucet. Like I'm not even gonna jump in and say any words. I'm just like stretching and ready to fire off, and it just sputters. No, but my thing is this. I feel like how do I say this without coming off any? Fuck it. I feel like I've been ahead of the curve like so many times. I feel like I'm Samsung and Apple, right? It's like Samsung will have these features 2 years in advance. Apple finally gets it, and it's the next best thing, right? All of a sudden, everyone wants to cover CBA and contracts, and I'm like, motherfuckers, that was me 3 years ago. That was me 2 years ago. Welcome to the party, pal. Right. And that's what I've been trying to like tell people. Now, everybody, I didn't have Spot Track. I didn't have all this stuff. I built my own spreadsheets. I did my own thing. I learned the CBA. Now, everyone has Google and they think they can talk the business of basketball with me. They can't because they only know the layers that have been talked about on SportsCenter. They don't know the in-depths of this stuff. Right. They didn't go to boot camps on this. They don't know. Right. So my thing is this: when they're talking about trades, and I just sit back like, oh my God. One, it doesn't work salary-wise. Two, you have no idea how this organization does business. And three, you have no clue of the dynamics. Now it's gotten worse, right? It's almost worse. I'm hoping, like, I used to pray, like, can't people just understand basic math and understand salaries so they can see how trades work? That's what I hoped for, but I fucked up, right? Because what happened is then you remove the gatekeeper. Because now what happens is you have people who can go to these trading machines and go to spot all this stuff and think because they know the dollar number now that they can build a trade. But you still need common sense. Because the numbers match doesn't mean the talent does, and it doesn't mean the fit does, and it doesn't mean you don't know all these other little layers within it, right? So I was doing this years ago. Like no one knew a basic trade. No many messages and DMs I would get from other channels like, yo, bro, does this trade work? Does this trade work? And then they'd go do their show, the same show that every other channel did, the same show that night for 15 of the same shows on YouTube. And the funny part was like 6 or 7 of those shows, they got their info from me, right? And and that's no shade. I appreciated them trying to get it right. But what I'm saying is now you have people like who think they can see the math. They can show how some, you can't make this trade. The money doesn't match. I'm like, now it's worse because now they just think the money has to match for a trade to work. And it's like, they just don't get it. So my thing is, I can be intoxic. I can work amongst you. You know the industry I'm in. I'm surrounded by toxicity. Like I don't care about that. My thing is this. I'm never going to choose to stand in manure. I'm never going to choose to stand in shit. And that's what NBA content creation has borderline become, right? There's some great ones. There's some really good ones. The problem is the bad outweighs the good, and it's the same stuff over and over. And it's not a very supportive community like it was in the beginning. There's a lot of back channel bashing and all kinds of different things. And it's like, I lost the enjoyment in talking basketball is really what it was, is because it just became so dirty and dusty. And you had a bunch of people who could fake the funk on basketball, but you can't do that in baseball. So that's why I felt more enjoyment, because you can't fake baseball. You could fake basketball all day long. You cannot fake baseball. And that's why I love it. And it rules these out because you don't need a gatekeeper in baseball because baseball is the gatekeeper. And so that's kind of like what it was. And my team already knew what that was. And my problem was, Joe, is I jumped into content creation way too hot. I went way too hard, way too soon. And I was never going to be able to keep that consistency. I was never ever going to give that much time away from my wife. I was never going to give away that much time for my career. I was never going to give away that much time for my family. You see how I'm with my parents, how much I love to be around them. Like I was never going to give all of that up. So eventually it was going to go backwards. And this was just like, well, I'm like, this is trash. like why do I want to be part of this landfill? I don't want to be part of it. And that's kind of what it was for me. And like I said, there's a lot of great creators. What you guys do at Lakers Fast Break is great. What you do on your show was great. I can name a bunch of people. I'm only saying your names because I'm on a show with you. I don't want to say a bunch of other names because I'm going to leave a couple out and then they're going to think I'm bashing and I'm not. Like my thing is there's way more bad than good. And you got people with this endless, pointless, stupid debate culture and ring culture that takes away from what the sport is. And then you got the game itself, which is just not as enjoyable. I did my best to watch the finals. I just couldn't get into it. It was horrible. And that was kind of my thing. But baseball brought the joy back to me of content creation. And it's probably always going to be, I'll get back into basketball and I kind of am, but baseball is now forever going to be the top spot on my channel, period.
Well, it makes sense because it's unprecedented what's happening. This is a 10-year window with the modern day Babe Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
And Babe Ruth for two franchises. Unfortunately for Watani, he didn't really have a chance to do what Babe did in Boston. Never got a chance to do that. And I know he ended his career as a Boston Brave for 1 year, but ultimately he had he had a legendary career with two franchises, and he won 2 MVPs as an Angel. So that's a legendary career with them, and he's going to have an even bigger legendary career with the Dodgers. We don't get this, but once a century. So
we have it now.
And what's beautiful about this is those who are driving the vehicle are just as great. The people in the Guggenheim offices, the guys like Andrew Friedman, guys like Brandon Gomes, guys like Kasten, it's top to bottom as clean and thorough as you can get. And I haven't gotten all in yet on the Lakers. I've hinted at it a little bit, and I've said wait and see. But I also want to leave a little bit of mystery there for the Laker people who don't watch the Dodgers. There's a lot of Dodger fans, but like you said, very few people know baseball. Very few people can recognize a sweeper or a changeup or know that a changeup is a breaking ball or a fork ball. The only thing I don't know in baseball is what a balk is.
A balk is difficult.
I have no idea. I never will know what the fuck a balk is. Okay. So other than that, baseball takes a different mentality. And I'm talking about friends of mine who are supposed to be smart that don't like baseball. It's too slow for them. I go, of course it's slow because you're slow. I go, if you don't get baseball, you're slow. The irony is hilarious. Baseball, when it's played right, is one of the most beautiful games that's ever been created. Now, still not better than football to me because I have a violent mindset. It's inherently in there. And it was enhanced when I did play. The ability to destroy a human being and feel good about it was there. It's not, doesn't sound well when I say it, but all I wanted to do was hurt people. You know? Can't do that in baseball, really. Basketball, I guess you could dunk on somebody, but it's not the same. When you make a 320-pound human being go horizontal, it does something to your brain.
Oh, I could imagine. I've never done that, but I can imagine.
When you've done that and you don't feel any pain and they feel the pain, it's even because it's still the same collision.
Mhm.
Why am I not feeling the pain? So obviously it's mental. So that's always going to take precedent over any sport. But baseball in its current culture, especially with the Dodgers, is you have the best ownership in sports who have the best player in sports, possibly, and they're winning. They've won, and they're going to continue to win, and that changes. Winning changes everything. That's the cliche of all cliches, but it's true. I have never seen 162 games in a full season. It's going to happen this year. That says a lot. That's what, and the prices at Dodger Stadium. You pay $7 for a bag of seeds, right? $7 for Coke. You, I don't eat the hot dogs there because they're not the same as the Farmer John's ones, so I don't eat them anymore. But
But
uh,
not as good. Yeah.
but the food's there. Like when the product is giving you what you want, God bless you for doing that. Like there's a difference. You guys want to charge $8 for a Coke? You know what? If that means you guys are going to put Otani, Betts, and Freeman to start the game, oh, and you're going to throw Otani in there for 2 strikeouts, and he's going to hit another. He's going to hit a home run and a triple. I want you guys to think about that before I go on to basketball, because I really want you guys to really marinate on this a little bit. Think about this for a second. You had a player yesterday strike out. Oh, by the way, it would have been 1-2-3 if the sun didn't get into Mookie's eyes. So you had a baseball player in the same game strike 2 guys out, and he struck them out silly. And those are good players. Then he hits a triple to clear the bases, and then he hits a home run in the same game. And this is a Sunday game against the Washington Nationals. What do I equate that to? Toronto, January 22nd, 2008. Was it 2008? Yeah. No, 2006. Sorry. Was it 2006? No, 2008. No, wait.
You talk about 81?
2006.
06.
2006. Kobe made you watch a game in January against the Toronto Raptors. That's greatness that you can't even put next to the word great. It's a different greatness. I've told some of you guys that story, right? I fell asleep for the first quarter and a half. I didn't miss Laker games in the 2000s and 2010s, well, up until 2017 when I couldn't handle anymore the losing. The last like 20 games. I got up, when you thought you're somewhere else. I was beyond drunk that day because the Steelers went to the Super Bowl that day. I drank, I think, half a case of Coronas. So I woke up and I'm like, oh shit! And of course, the Kobe had 26 in the first half.
Was it normal?
Yeah, it was normal at that time, right? And then of course they're down. I'm like, oh shit! He's gonna score 50 and they're gonna lose. And then of course you saw what happened. That moment. It was solidified before then, but that was kind of the official stamp that there is no game that you cannot watch when Kobe Bryant's playing. That is greatness. When someone comes and tells me whatever they want to tell me, the toxic people, the stupid people, whatever it is, those are real moments that are actually that's credibility to what we say. It's not about what you think. Now, I'm segueing to Legend of Experiment. because he's been begging me to say this and talk about this. Yeah, did you see McGrady's comments on Kobe? They failed to mention Kobe was all defensive teams and McGrady had 0. Okay. You want to take a stab at this first?
I've never heard McGrady speak down on Kobe, so I'm wondering what is he talking about?
Okay, so he had an interview, I think 2 days ago, about he said, in a way, if I had played with Shaq, I probably would have won a championship.
I mean, I think. I mean, we don't know, right? If we're talking about 2000 T-Mac, no. If we're talking about once he got to Orlando and Houston T-Mac, maybe that guy playing with 2000 Shaq gets a ring. Yeah, maybe. But we know that Kobe got 3 with him. T-Mac was very good. I never felt that he ever belonged in the conversation with Kobe. I always felt when they pinned him against each other that was just trying to make something that it wasn't. He was never on Kobe's level. Never. I think at that point, I don't think he even won a playoff series, right? Like, I understand he played with Grant Hill. He got hurt. I understand that he was young when he played with Vince Carter. I understand that he played with Yao Ming, but I think there's a lot of guys who could have won with a dominant Shaq. But it doesn't change the fact that Kobe was the one that did. I also think there's a lot of bigs that could have won with a dominant Kobe, right? So I mean, I think if you gave Kobe Hakeem Olajuwon, you don't think he's winning rings? If you gave him Tim Duncan, you don't think he's winning rings? Like, there's a flip side to that coin, and these conversations go down weird paths. And from someone like McGrady, who was giving endless flowers to Kobe, and that Kobe respected him, I didn't see the quote. I didn't see the context in which it was said. I didn't see if it was a question or for something he just came out and said. I don't know. But because it's T-Mac saying it, I think all he's trying to say is that he probably could have won more if he had better stars to play with. I don't think it's a shot at Kobe. So that's how I would take it. If it was someone like coming out of left field, wild, talking craziness, but T-Mac, I know the respect he's had for Kobe. I know their connection, but we'll never know the answer to it. But I think T-Mac was good enough to win with a dominant big if he had like a Shaq in his prime, but he didn't. And it doesn't really matter.
It's a lot to digest. This could be a 4-hour discussion.
Yeah, that's why it's one of those things. It's we don't know. We don't know.
My response to it is, there's always been that talk about, okay, put AI in Kobe's place and they win. Put now T-Mac in there and they win. Put Vince Carter in there, maybe he wins. Put D Wade in there. Put Penny in there, right? Okay, so Penny and Shaq played together.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't win one. They got close. D Wade and Shaq won one, but I remember vividly that the 2006 Miami team played Alonzo Mourning more in crucial moments in that series than Shaq.
Defensively, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I had mentioned this a few times, and I just hope it doesn't come off as derogatory towards Shaq, but Shaq between 1994 and 1999 got swept 5 out of 6 times. With Kobe, without Kobe. Great, not great, not to the great where he was. I mean, he was great really from the beginning, in my view. T-Mac never had what Kobe had mentally, and
No.
neither did AI,
nor health,
and neither did Vince Carter, and in a lot of ways, neither did Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade won, but there's a lot of circumstances in that finals and how things played out. Kobe in 2000, even This is a discussion I've had a lot. Well, I'll give Kobe 01 and 02, but 2000, that was all Shaq. I'm like, that's bullshit.
No.
I go, who do you think was there game 2 against Phoenix? They were down before he hit that game winner. They could have lost that game.
Yep.
Okay. Portland.
Yep.
In game 3. Game-winning pass to Ron Harper.
Yep.
Game-sealing block against Arvydas Sabonis.
Yep.
Game 4. Indiana. Alley-oop. I mean,
they don't even have the top seed in the league.
I don't. If the careers are not the same. Kobe didn't come into a team as the one from the beginning. The fact that he was able to accumulate what he accumulated, and he didn't play his first full 82-game season as a starter until his 4th season, should tell you a little bit about that. And then when he was at his peak, there was a transition going on in LA. 2003 to 2008 was probably his prime square. And then his body started breaking down at the end of 08. Still 1 and 09, still 1 and 10. And then 11 was he was trying to get back, and he almost did, but something that we need to still discuss, and that's the Chris Paul thing. That might have changed history had that happened, right? Because I think he wins at least one more ring with Chris Paul. But anyways, to finish this discussion again, because I don't want to be here for 4 hours, the discredit, Kobe has gotten so much more than I would have ever thought negative value in who he really was when it mattered. And I don't know why.
It's all the evolution of fandom. So you had the Michael Jordan base who hated Kobe initially until Jordan blessed him. But then you have the people still can't let it go. And then you have the LeBron fan base. Then you got these weirdos running around on the internet, former players. I see a couple of names in the chat.
Thank you for saying that, by the way. They are weirdos. A lot. Gilbert Arenas and those guys are trash.
Well, Gil. So so Gil is a Valley boy. Gil played at Grand High School. Gil still lives in the Valley. You can spot him on a one-on-one with his top down often. Gil is Gil. And anyone that knows Gil knows what I mean. Gil is Gil. And Gil is I know people aren't going to, whatever this and the third. Gil was always a massive Kobe freak. Massive. But Gil hasn't been relevant as a basketball player in over 10 years. He was still getting paid. He was still one of the highest paid players in the, I feel like you can't speak like facts anymore without coming off as hating or shade towards anyone. But this is just reality. Never been a basketball player in my life on any high level. It far be it for me to speak on anyone's skill set. But what I'm saying is he hasn't been on court relevant for well over 10 years, 15 years maybe. He made a lot of money. He's out of the game. He's not in the game as any type of official network guy. He's not a coach. He's out of the league, essentially. But he has his platform. He's got a lot of money. He's got a bunch of former NBA guys that didn't achieve much. He's got some real guys that barely even played. Kenyon Martin played a long time. He often shows respect to Kobe. Matt Barnes, and the show that they have, they often show respect to Kobe. I don't watch the show enough because they've got Rashard McCants on there. What could he bring to the table, right? So my thing is, Gil was flat out Kobe guy, but now he's selling a product, and that's what these guys do. And that's what they do. There's a lot of guys out here who make a living off of LeBron's name, Jordan's name, and Kobe's name, And it's about ripping one to build the other and vice versa. And this is why I said the basketball toxicity. This is a major part of it. These are all hypotheticals that we don't have the answer to. This is all conversation of negative conversations. Why are we going to sit up here and talk about what McGrady would do with Shaq if it never happened? We have no data to base it off of. How are we going to sit up here and say what LeBron would do against MJ? We never could see it. How are we going to say all of these things of what this player would do to this and this coach would do to that? That's my annoyance with it. Let's talk about what we're watching. Let's talk about what we've seen. Let's talk about what we lived through. Hypotheticals are fun, but they're not real. It's story time. It's story time. So for T-Mac or anyone to say that they would have won with Shaq, I get that you have that confidence in yourself to say that. But the reality is, like, Shaq never won until Kobe came of age. T-Mac was never as great as Kobe. So my question is, was T-Mac ever as great as Penny? Because I think people forget how great Penny was pre-injury. Now, does that Penny in 95 win with 2000 Shaq? Probably. But we don't know. We can't answer that. And so all we know is that the best 1-2 punch in basketball history that I've ever seen was Kobe and Shaq. And if you think that Vince Carter, who ate McDonald's all day, probably with Shaq would have done that those two are winning multiple rings, I'm sorry, they're not. Because Vince Carter isn't playing defense or rebounding or making the sacrifices or putting the work in at 3 a.m. like Kobe Bryant did. Vince Carter was great, but he wasn't that guy. Joe, was Vince Carter ever a top 5 player in the league?
No.
Was Tracy McGrady ever a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Not in my view. He's not a Hall of Famer in my view, actually, in a lot of ways.
What I'm saying,
I'm a little bit tougher on the Hall of Fame thing. I'm sorry, I can't take someone seriously who's as good as T-Mac was and didn't win a playoff game until he was sitting the bench in San Antonio.
I've seen solo guys win rounds. Like I've seen Allen Iverson drag a team to rounds. I've seen Damian Lillard drag teams past rounds. I've seen Giannis drag guys past rounds. I've seen Wade. We've seen Braun. We've seen Durant. We've seen Russ. We've seen guys who didn't win a ring prior. And I know KD has now, but we've seen guys drag teams damn near to the finals by themselves. We've seen it. We saw Luka do it last year. Like T-Mac to me, Joe, let me rip these names. Durant, LeBron, Wade. You can say what you want about Russ, but in his peak, Dame. Was T-Mac maybe equal? Was T-Mac better than any of those guys? Barkley. Malone. Like, when you say things like that we can't prove right, nor can we prove wrong, other than the fact that it didn't happen, so it's unreal. Those conversations are like, they're fun to a point where you could imagine in story time and play around, but there's no way to prove it. There's no way to prove it. It's like it's giving Shaq Wilt. That would have been crazy, but we can't prove it. Giving Kobe Kareem, giving Magic Shaq. Like, these are all fun little mismatch things. They don't go nowhere.
No, it's the toxic part that you say. That's what
it's stupid, and it's a way for guys to keep their name relevant. Like I said, because Tracy McGrady has gone out of his way endless times to give flowers to Kobe Bryant, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's the furthest from a Kobe hater. And from what I'm reading, because I didn't see it, the conversation, from what I'm reading, it sounds like this may have happened on Gil's channel, which is just a melting pot for toxicity. Shout out to them. They get a lot of views. They build a machine over there. It is what it is. I'm not knocking the hustle. No way, shape, or form. But it's not my type of content. It's not the type of content I consume. I'm not the type of guy they want. I'm not the guy they want watching.
Because they want the drama.
Yeah, and that's fine. It's mutually exclusive, right? I don't want to watch them, and they don't want me watching because I don't.
Yeah, they don't want the
offer
drama.
any. Yeah, I don't offer any. I don't offer any. I don't debate nonsense. Like we talked about this before. It's like religions. Certain religions that will kill on the base of religion. There's no arguing with them. There's no converting. There's no getting them on your side, and that's how a lot of basketball debates are. You can't convince a diehard Bron fan anything other than what they think about LeBron James. You can't convince a diehard Michael Jordan fan anything other than they believe about Michael Jordan. You can't convince a diehard Kobe Bryant fan against anything that they feel about Kobe Bryant. Except I'm a fan of all three. Kobe's my favorite. Kobe's my GOAT. My GOAT as far as my greatest player of all time, who's my favorite. But am I going to sit up here and say that he's better than MJ and better than LeBron? I liked him better. If I had to draft to watch someone play for the Los Angeles Lakers for 20 years, I'm picking Kobe 10 out of 10. Maybe I lose some games because of that. Maybe I miss out on some chips because of it. That's my choice. In my world, it's cool. I respect your opinion, but I'm taking MJ because of this. Not F you effing this and that, but all because I gave an opinion on a guy who I like to watch playing basketball. And that's the part that I don't rock with. And that's what that culture is all about. The toxic channels, the debate channels. If you're debating stuff and it's conversational of stuff that you saw, but I don't have the right to sit at a table and run my mouth with someone who watched basketball in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, talking through 85 or something like that, right? I don't have the permission to sit there and act like I belong. I belong there to listen. I belong there to learn. And if I start talking out of school, they have every right to tell me to shut the fuck up. But now they roll into the 90s and 2000s. Now I have a seat at the table. Now, can I have an opinion on something in the 60s from information I've learned over time? Sure. But the people that like lived and breathed it, I can never put myself in that place. I can't imagine what it was like when Don Nelson made that shot that bounced over. Like I can't imagine what it was like to watch Wilt go for 100 in those times. I can't match that energy. Just like someone who was born in 2005 can't tell me nothing about the Kobe and Shaq three-peat. It's cool that they love it and they rock with it and they represent it, but you weren't there. You weren't there. And that's why. So if I can say I can't have a seat at the table or something I wasn't there for, I'm holding myself accountable to that same logic. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right. This is how I feel. And so some of these other guys just get out there and they got too much time to kill. They got too much time to kill, and there's too many dumb motherfuckers in the world that think they got a seat at the table when they don't. And I'm not talking about the people creating content. I'm talking about the people in the chat that don't have their own shows, that don't create their own content, that don't do nothing but bicker and cry and whine and hate, all that. They're so miserable at so many different levels that they're... Joe, just imagine... I'm going long here. I apologize. Just imagine the type of mentality you have to show up every day with your thumbs to hate another man or woman, whatever it is. This isn't just sports. This is all across like streaming platforms, right? Imagine the commitment to hate that takes to do this daily, and you're not even the one creating the content. You're just a content fluff girl at that point, right? like you're not even creating the content. I respect anyone's grind. Anyone creates content, I respect your grind. I may not like the content, but I respect your grind. Chat, channel, just to bash Bron, to bash MJ, to bash Kobe. Who the fuck has time for that?
The assessments should be predicated on the results. And results in life is always about winning. It's competition. What's competition without winner and win and
Yeah.
loss, right? There is also this fine line where there are those like Indiana in this finals played their butts off. Halliburton played until his wheel busted. That is admirable. That is something to celebrate. That's something that I'm going to have respect for Tyrese Halliburton for the rest of his career. He tried everything in his life to get out there and win. That there's a difference. There's always an exception to the win and loss. Did you really put forth everything? And the argument, the Michael, the Kobe, the LeBron argument is it's an argument in culture and it's generational. I always hear, well, if Michael was playing in this era, he would be this. I'm like, well, are you basing that off of going back in time and getting Michael from the 90s? Or are you talking about his talent now? Because Michael growing up in the 90s and playing now isn't the same as Michael growing up in the 70s and playing when he did. People were different then. Kobe grew up in the 80s. It's different. 90s. Culture was different. I was in the we're in the bridge. We're in that bridge, that 90s, 80s. For the longest time, I thought I was an 80s kid. I said, I'm an 80s kid. This was I think I was 1995. I said, I've lived more in the 80s than I've lived in the 90s or obviously the 70s. I'm born in 78. I said, I'm an 80s kid. They're like, no, Joe, that's Fast Times at Ridgemont High, the 80s kids. You're a 90s kid. And I was like, holy shit, you're right. I go, I am a
Yeah.
90s kid. I didn't know at the time, right? So then you look back now, of course, it makes sense. The 80s are completely different than the way I grew up in the 90s. It's just when you're 8 years old, 7 years old, I don't think that constitutes as
No.
growing up in an era. You need to grow up when you are coherent
Yep.
and know music and you know sports and you know you're alert to it. The argument is an opinion, no matter what, no one's wrong. But the toxic person has always been there. It's not something that was created 10 years ago, 20 years ago. The only difference is those toxic people have a forum now when they didn't. You didn't hear about the Gilbert Arenases. Gilbert Arenas would have needed to go on ESPN in the 90s to do what he did, or go on a radio show, a terrestrial radio show, to do what he did. Now he can go sit in his living room and be a complete jizz stain that he is. I'm not a Gilbert Arenas fan. I never have been. And then you can attract that same toxic scumbaggery, and they'll sit there and listen to it. And even if they don't like Gilbert Arenas, they'll listen to it, right? It's the whole Howard Stern effect. 3.5 hours. People who hated Howard Stern watched it for 3.5 hours versus the people who liked Howard Stern, they'd watch it for 45 minutes. That was, I think, the statistic that they put together. People, and then this is kind of getting out of the sports side of things, but people that live boring lives, you'll notice, and this is something, if you pay attention to it from here on out, as I tell you this, people who are constantly around drama subconsciously want it because it's the only form of entertainment.
Yep.
That's why. They have boring lives. Parents probably suck. They suck. They can't get into a relationship. The people who always yap about people turning on them. This is grown ass people. I'm not talking about teenagers. Teenagers are stupid. They don't know any better. When you're a grown adult, and I hold men to a higher, even though I come off as a chauvinist in a lot of ways, I always blame the guy because we're supposed to be able to identify that. We're the hunters, we're the providers, we're the protectors. You're supposed to be smarter than that. So when you get into a situation, I understand sometimes shit happens. Fine. It's life. We all make mistakes, bad decisions, things change, people grow apart. I get it. But if you keep making that same mistake, now I'm going to say, what the fuck are you doing?
Yep.
And that's now on you. The responsibility. What's changed first of all, there's two things that have happened in recent history. Responsibility has been catered to in the opposite direction so much that no one thinks that they're doing anything wrong. And then the other thing is, I'm not trying to get all sociology on. I'm not trying to go sociology on everybody here, but people are in this fantasy land that they think they can be something. And if they're not, somebody's holding them back. I guess those who are on OnlyFans can do that, right? Make millions of dollars just showing their booty and whatnot. But those are the lottery winners, right? Because you only hear about the lottery winners. You never hear about the other 400 million people that played that lost. You only hear about the few that won. So do you think you're going to win the lottery? You're just going to luck yourself into winning money or earning the job you want? 95% of the people out there, if not more, are going to have to work for it. And when you've set the stage on people not having to work for something that's supposed to be easy, and if it's not easy, somebody's taking it from you, that, well, you build a bad mentality for society, because now it's like, well, the societies keep me down because of what I look like, where I'm from, and then that creates its own toxicity, right? So as far as sports, I think the frustrating part about sports is there's always been this competition thing in terms of who's better, who's not, blah blah blah. But what has gotten bad is it's seeped into the good stuff. The game has suffered. I was listening for about maybe 30 seconds of the feed from the finals with ESPN. It is so bad. The people on those shows are so bad. The analyzing, even at the gym this morning, just looking at the people talking about the game, I'm like, these people have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. Absolutely no idea. They're just reading off the teleprompter.
Yep.
And why is baseball special in that? I'll see Carl Ravitch. As soon as I see Carl Ravitch, it's like, baseball's still baseball. Baseball always had the Peter Gammons, and then you still have the Kurtrins and the Passons and those guys. Like, why is it baseball is the only damn sport that still has good people talking about it? Oh, I know why. Because you can't fake baseball. Mm-hmm. Boom! You just got your answer, guys. And I'm bringing that up because let me see what Mr. So-and-so said. What is it? Santa Cruz? Hold on a second. Where is this shit? His name is Don't Tell Santa Cruz. You guys are fake baseball fans, though. You didn't watch the Dodgers until Shohei came. I'm assuming he's talking to the audience there. Let's be real. I am not a troll. I've been subbed since Joe made the channel. So, Santa Cruz, I'm assuming you're telling that to some of the people on the show because I know you're not talking to us. But here's the thing. There's always going to be bandwagoners in every sport and every team. It's just what it is. Somebody has to start somewhere. We started somewhere. I started somewhere in 88. I started somewhere in 89 with the Steelers. I started somewhere with the Lakers were lingering before 91, but 91 became the year where I started investing time and energy in the team. You could have said, "Oh, Joe, you're just bandwagoning because the Lakers won't win to the championship," right? Oh, you're just a Dodger fan because they won the World Series. At that time, you could have had that argument, but you need to give it some time. If these guys are still here 5, 6, 7 years later, then it's a different story. I know, Santa Cruz. I know what you meant. I can read through that one. I know. I know you weren't talking about us. But it's different. This isn't normal. Shohei Ohtani is not a normal athlete. This guy is transcendent, and he's transcended in a sport and a league that, I'm sorry to say, has done a horrible job marketing its players the last 20 years. There's no argument against that. The fact that Mike Trout is our modern day Ernie Banks is a travesty. The fact that Paul Skeens is in, I don't even want to say purgatory. He's in hell right now. But the good thing about that is there's noise already coming out. Whereas before it was like Mike Trout won 3 MVPs, and then they started talking about what the hell's going to happen in Anaheim. At least with Paul Skeens, he's getting a head start. It's in his second year. They're like, dude, get this guy out of Pittsburgh. McNutty, Nutty, whatever the fuck that guy is in Pittsburgh. What the hell is he doing? Well, Joe, we're going to have a lockout in 2026, and this is all going to get solved. I go, get solved. You think these guys want a floor? You think 8 owners out of the 30 are going to vote for a salary floor? Just because he doesn't spend money doesn't mean he ain't making a lot of money. Oh, and they make a lot of money. Pittsburgh arguably has the best stadium in baseball.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Right?
Beautiful.
I haven't been there. I haven't been there, but that's what friends of mine who went there have said. So be careful. This is baseball. Baseball, they don't want Barry Bonds in there. They didn't let Pete Rose in there. They don't want Roger Clemens in there. They don't want anybody that's officially, you know what, to go in anywhere. The most stubborn, by the way, there was someone who didn't vote for Ken Griffey Jr. to go to the Hall of Fame. Now, I'm a big supporter of the Major League Baseball and their process because if they don't get enough votes, no one gets in that year. I like that. But that is bad. The fact that you didn't vote for Ken Griffey, who the hell is going in if it's not him? Yeah, it's just mind-boggling to me. I don't know. I'm curious. Skeens has the hottest girlfriend. I think what makes her really, really hot is she's really cool too. Like I've seen her in interviews. And I'm like, man. And I look at Skeens. Skeens a dick. I could see it. He's like a jerk. And he's got that personality. He didn't give a fuck. I'm like, man, well, it could be a balance because that's how it is in my house. My wife is a sweetheart. She's nice. You'll meet her one day, Jeff. I'm an asshole. And it balances. Anyways, but again, going back to the Dodgers. I remember the Yankee run in the late 90s. And I wasn't a Yankee hater at the time. I've never really been a Yankee hater. Just not
me neither.
Yeah, that was never there. I hated the Giants. That was a team I mean, murderous hate in the early 90s. It kind of went away a little bit when they weren't really playing that well for a while, but murderous. And even but then when the title teams, the 3 out of 5 teams, I couldn't hate that team either.
I couldn't either. I respected
Because
that team.
I just thought Buster Posey was one of the baddest dudes. He was Derek Jeter behind the plate. He was a winner. I like winners. And it's not just, they're winning. There's something there. It's different. Guys like Buster Posey, guys like Derek Jeter, it's different when those guys are the leaders. They only cared about winning. And not only did they win, they kept winning. It's very, very hard to not admire that, no matter who it is and what team it is. The Celtics team, I couldn't hate last year. How do you hate Jaylen Brown? How do you hate Jason Tatum? How?
Yeah, I didn't hate that team. I just felt
I don't hate that team. I just don't want them to win because
I thought it was a weak chip, but I didn't hate the
big
team.
time because they ran into every team in the East that was missing their one option, including the Indiana team, right? They didn't have Halliburton really in the Eastern Conference Finals that year. So it's about how you win more than how you win. That's an interesting point. Yeah, there's a little bit of that. The other day, Jeff, the 11-0 against the Giants, I was pissed. I was pissed. I wanted an 11-0 ending. I didn't want them to get a run. One of the reasons why Belichick has a special spot in my head. Belichick in 2007 did not take his foot off the gas. I like it. And end him. Cut its head off and then spit on it. So let's see here. Hold on. I'm getting some messages here. So you like winners, so you like KD going to the Warriors to win. No. I think Stephen A. Smith said that well. I think it was the weakest move in NBA history.
I remember when Stephen A. Smith was a journalist, man.
He didn't get his $100 million contract being a journalist, Jeff.
I know. But I think he was good at what he did. He was. I mean, like I said, don't knock the hustle. He crossed over. He at least came up through it. I guess you can say he paid his dues, right?
Ooh.
Now he cashed in.
JY, you always ask really good questions. I got a lot to talk about boxing. Boxing is something that anytime I can get a fight that matters, I love talking about. Canelo versus Crawford is the first fight I think I can remember where I was excited about even them talking about it since, I think, this is sad to say, since the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. Yeah, Aaron's a fight guy. So, JY, we're going to talk Canelo Crawford before September 13th. We're going to talk a lot about it. And what's his name? The guy that was at ESPN. I lost his name. He used to do Around the Horn.
Oh, you're talking about Max?
Max Kellerman. He's he's already slated to do the play-by-play or the color for that fight. And that's how you know the fight is gonna be fun to watch. Oh, well, at least the hype is anyways. I don't know how the fight's gonna play out, but it's the first fight in a long time where it's a boxing. It's something I really want to watch. I'm sorry, Fury and Wilder was probably the last one that I was like, I want to watch this. Pacquiao coming back, I don't know about that. I don't know if he needs more money. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see here. OKC won fair and square, guys. No excuses. Joe then says Celtics had an easy ring. Everyone. Well, it was an easy ring. Doesn't mean they didn't earn it. Everyone earns the title, but there is room to say, hey, this was pretty weak. So the Celtics last year played every single East team last year that had every East team they played last year had their number one option out. And then when they faced Dallas in the finals, they played a team that had no business being in the finals and were pretty much squeezed out. in terms of energy. That they won it, they earned it, but I'm just saying it was weak. Oklahoma City Thunder versus Indiana as a final, as good as some of the games were. Just not box office enough. Sorry, guys. Hold on. So you admit Iggy had an easy ring. They played Memphis, then Denver, who had 3 injuries. Porter hurt, Westbrook broken hand. Yeah. Well, I'm more talking about the team. I'm sure Jeff's talking about that too. Just they're not scary teams. It hasn't teams that have won the last. I mean, you could say Denver in 23 was pretty dominant. Sure.
I think, yeah, I'm just saying, like, Denver might be the only one. If you think of any team past 2020, I'm not just saying that because I'm a Laker fan. It's LeBron James, Anthony Davis. LeBron was still, I'm just saying, like, that forget the bubble. Look at that team during the regular season. When you look at any team past 2020, I'm not sure that team doesn't get swept by any championship team between 2000 to 2020. Maybe escape the 2014 Spurs to 2000. I don't know. Maybe a couple of the teams they put up a fight with. Outside of that, granted, there were dynasties in that range. 2000 and 2020, there were multiple dynasties. Those teams are going to be hard to beat regardless. But that's what we came accustomed to watching, powerhouse guys. And even the teams that didn't win back-to-back, let's just run through it. Look at the 3 peoples, both of them. There's no SGA is nothing close to Jordan, right? And then if you get the Kobe Shaq Lakers, there's no one either one of these teams anywhere close to those two. And you get to the Spurs, there's no one close to Tim Duncan. And you look at the Warriors run, there's no one close to KD or Steph, right? It just these teams that are winning now, I don't want to discredit their win. Their win counts just as much as those other teams' wins counted. What I'm saying is when the league wanted parity and wanted a competitive balance, they watered down the champion. They watered it down to give guys, Joe, there were teams that missed the playoffs from 2000 to 2010 that would have won a championship this year. Like the level of champion, this isn't your prototypical champion. This isn't your prototypical number 1 seed. I know they won a lot of games. I understand all this. I'm really not trying to sound like a hater. I'm just trying to sound like the quality of the product on the floor. This is the 2025 OKC Thunder are kind of equivalent to the 2004 Detroit Pistons to me. Like, if a handful of other teams would have had their act together, they don't win. And it doesn't take away. I don't mean to discredit them. They got it done. You got to be lucky and good. They were both. They're a good basketball team. They're a good basketball team. But there's people talking about this team like it's going to be a dynasty. Fuck out of here.
They say that every year. They said that last year. Oh, Boston's going to win titles now.
No. Like we knew this is where it comes back to knowing the business of basketball. We knew, and this is going to happen with OKC too. It's going to happen with OKC too. We knew that Boston was not going to be able to sustain this roster money-wise. We knew that. And today's already a move in that direction. And when you look at OKC, they're not going to be able to sustain this roster money-wise. They're not going to be able to. You're going to have to pay Chet. You got Hartstein coming up again. You're going to have to pay Williams, right? There's another extension coming for SGA eventually. You've got all these guys that you're not going to be able to pay. You got to move them. And one thing that Rob Pelinka does not get credit for is that he recognized, look, we have this young core. We're not going to keep them all anyways. We're not going to pay Randall. We're not going to pay Ingram. We're not going to pay Ball. We're not going to pay Hart. We're not going to pay Kuzma. We're not paying all these guys. It's not happening. So let's get a guy that's worth all 3 of these guys together, but is going to make the same max. There's no GM in the world that isn't trading Ingram, Hart, and Alonzo Ball for Anthony Davis. The 3 of those guys don't equal AD, but they do money-wise. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is what's happening with OKC is the same thing that happened with Boston is the same thing that is now happening with the Bucks. It's the same thing that happened to Denver. You pay the cost to be the boss, and you paid the tax to win the chip, and then you run. You run with your money. Joe, what happened? Boston wins, sells the team. These new guys coming in and say, I'm not paying this roster. I'm not paying your signees. I'm going to start breaking this up. Also, Tatum's out next year. What are we playing for? So when you look at this, Milwaukee made that deal. Dame's out. Boston got all this money. Tatum's out. Indiana's, they're wondering, are they going to spend this year to try to run this back? Now Halliburton's out. OKC is not going to keep this team together for 3 years. It's not going to happen. You just paid Caruso. Hardenstein, you signed him. But it was a 3-year deal. Got Hardenstein. Chet, you got to pay. Williams, you got to pay. Not going to hold it together. Denver had to jettison KCP. They had to let Bruce Brown walk. All these moves that they had to do because of the money. And say what you want to say about the Lakers, but their contract situation is looking pretty nice lined up for the future. And so, coincidentally, books are starting to get a little clean as a new ownership group comes in. So, it's going to be, as you sit back and watch and look at these teams from 21 to 2025, they ain't it. They're not it. It's no disrespect. They all count just as much as any champion that's ever won. But if you're going to sit up here and try to discredit the bubble, but have no pushback on this, then I can't take you seriously. I just can't.
Yeah, everything's about discrediting. And that's...
And I kind of just discredited, so I'm in that boat.
Everything is about discrediting, but at the same time, there's a difference. The discredit of the bubble is who had an advantage that we don't know about. Everyone played within the same rules, so I don't understand. The 1982 strike in football, the 1987 strike in football, the 1999 lockout in the NBA, the 2012 lockout in the NBA. This is not unprecedented. Just because it was in one location doesn't matter. Okay, there's been seasons that have been compromised due to lesser games that have champions. Hell, Mark Mosley, the kicker for the Washington Redskins, won the MVP in 1982 before they ended up winning the championship that year against Miami. 87, the Giants won that Super Bowl. Do we discredit them? Jerry Rice scored 23 touchdowns in 1987, playing 12 games, by the way. That's a statistic that's crazy, and he didn't win MVP that year, which was weird. 99 lockout, 50 games, 66 in 2012. So what? This isn't the first time there's been seasons that have been cut short, but it's the negativity is just what people like. So many people they like to discredit winners because they're losers. Yeah. And it could be a rich guy. It could be an ex-player. That's why it doesn't matter. If you're rich, ugly, good-looking, woman, man, ex-player or not, if you say something stupid, you need to be called out on it. That's how I look at it. And I know a lot of people don't have enough speed in the response with backing, and I understand that. So they either sit there and do it on the computer like the cowards that they are, and they can't do it face to face. Face to face is the best. There is nothing greater I've ever witnessed when it comes to conversation than telling someone to their face how horribly wrong they are. Because you see their entire existence go down the tubes, and they finally met someone. And this is something this is the philosophy I've had for years when I've developed it. You know the asshole at the grocery store? You know they haven't done that just once. So there's been a couple times in my life where I've commented, and I've said it just like that. I said, "You're used to talking to people like this all the time, aren't you?" And no one says anything. All they do is chatter when you leave. And I've said to their face, I said, "You're going to remember me now. Every time you do this, you're going to think about me. Shut the fuck up, get your shit, and leave. Leave this lady alone." I've had that happen. And that person I know remembers me forever now. It's our duty to do the right things at the right time. Sports, it's not that important, really. It's entertainment. I get it. It's not, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. But there's more to it behind it because it does affect other things around. If you act stupid, you say stupid things. I mean, you've seen it on the show. You saw me go off on that short. Stop putting words in my mouth. Yeah, and there's a difference between when someone's just fucking with you and when someone actually means it. I'm like, no. I never said that. You could fuck shit up when you say shit like that. Don't do that. If I'm wrong and you call me out, I'm being wrong. That's fine. But if you want to, again, if you want to discredit the bubble championship, go ahead. You're an idiot.
And I want to touch on that too, because I know there's a lot of chatter about what Caruso said yesterday. He was playing around. He was being sarcastic, and he confirmed that today. I knew it immediately when he said it. He was joking around. Sarcasm was a lost art this day, and people are like, "Oh, he said it." They just hung on to it because anything that's said goes with their narrative. But if he said this is my second one, they wouldn't have jumped on it at all. But he came back and he said 2 titles. He said I was 3 beers in. Sarcasm, guys. He definitely values that championship in 2020 because it's what got him paid. No way he doesn't value that. So it's crazy. So it's dumb. On that note, Joe, I got to get up out of here, man. Got to go handle a few things.
Thanks for coming on.
It.
Appreciate it. I'll finish up here with the boys. I know they want some questions answered, and then but again, we'll get back to this hopefully in a few weeks.
Yes, sir. I'll talk to you later. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all, man.
Take care, man.
All right.
Bye. All right. You guys are coming at me with all the comments. Let me catch up here a little bit. Let's see. See, the thing is with the bubble ring talk is if you keep biting on the bait, you justify their stupidness. It reminded me of an Aussie joke. It was quick, and we got to see his personality. Congratulations, Alex, my man. Yeah, Alex is a good dude, man. I'm happy for him. That was the only reason why I didn't want Oklahoma City to lose. I wanted Indiana to win for our brother Mavari, but I didn't want OKC to lose because I love Alex. Yeah, life lesson. See, I try not to do that on the show. I don't want to be that guy. I'm not a life coach. I'm not here to give you how to act in your life. I feel like I want to call out the stupid shit. That's really the point of all that. Let's see. If he said the bubble wasn't real, then why does he say he's a 2-time champ? He meant it as a sarcastic comment. Context. Boy, that's a good question, Mark. My boxing goat. I thought Mike Tyson was the greatest fighter I'd ever seen, and I in his prime when he was focused, I still haven't seen anybody as lethal as him. And I've seen them. I've seen a lot. I saw Evander Holyfield in his prime. I saw Lennox Lewis in his prime. The short stint with Riddick Bowe. I kind of geared towards the heavyweights more than I do the welterweights, but we've seen better middleweights. I call them middleweights, not welterweights, actually, just because they're in the middle, right? They're not heavyweights. That's probably what it is. The middleweights, I saw so many greats. I mean, I saw Hagler, I saw Hearns, I saw Iran Barkley, I saw Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran. I saw Pernell Whitaker. I saw Mayweather, Pacquiao. I mean, there's so many of those guys. I saw Chavez. I saw De La Hoya. Uh, Sugar Shea. I mean, Sugar Shea, I think, is one of the more underrated middleweights of all time. That guy at his peak might have been able to beat anybody ever. He was really good. Uh, my favorite middleweight was probably Thomas Hearns. And a lot of it was I couldn't fathom and understand how a 160-pound man could have that much power in a punch. His right hand was like a freaking sledgehammer. And then when you look at Hagler, Hagler had the skull of a freaking center block. That same center block broke that right hand. Probably the greatest 2-round fight ever in any era. you know, uh, I don't. Boxing is such a great everything. It's a great sport. It produced amazing personalities, amazing athletes, amazing physiques, amazing culture. It's just when it's at its peak, boxing is just very, very hard not to be really, really, really at the top of all sports. But there was a comment years ago that I heard that made so much sense. I don't know if it's true, but it made so much sense. And that is, and I think I've said it on the show a few times when we've talked boxing. Most of the guys that were fighting as heavyweights, all the 6'5", 250 guys, they're all playing tight end in the NFL now. I think that's true. Who wants to get their face bashed in, right? So I'm just happy that there's something coming. The John Jones retirement really took a dump on UFC and mixed martial arts as having a fight that I was actually waiting to see. I think the last fight that I was excited to see, it's been a while, was I think Conor McGregor versus Khabib. Dude, these fights are few and far between. I just there's not a lot of the prize fights, whether it's MMA or boxing, that are appealing or exciting to think about. So this is the first one in a long time, Canelo versus Crawford. So we'll definitely have a show on that. We'll definitely talk about that. I'm a lot like hockey with boxing. I'm so not conditioned to talk boxing because I don't have a reason to talk about boxing. Hockey's a little different. I just don't have enough time to watch hockey like I used to. It's just not enough time. I would, if I didn't have a career, I would be able, and this was my career. I could watch more college basketball. I could watch more college football. I could watch more NHL hockey, and then really be a little bit more versed in that. But unfortunately, it's just not in the cards. There's not enough time. I dedicate almost 3 hours a day, 6 days a week to watch baseball. I watch every NFL Steelers game. I haven't missed a Steeler game in this century. And then, of course, the Lakers. We watch all 82 games of the Lakers plus playoffs and all that. So you imagine watching 3 TV shows a day, right, for 6 days a week. It's taxing, and it's it's a lot of time spent doing that. So to dedicate to another league, to another faction of sports, it's just very difficult unless I was doing it for a living. But I do want to thank everyone for being here this morning, this afternoon, and this evening. We had some pretty good numbers. We still have some really good numbers. Again, for those of you who have just chimed in, please like, subscribe, and set up the notification button there so the next time we have a show, you get alerted. This is the beginning of the experiment. You're going to see a lot of advancements as time goes on. I'm doing a show usually about once a week that will probably go up as the NBA free agency period goes full tilt. The NFL is about to come upon the sports landscape. And then, of course, when the basketball season starts to roll, you'll be seeing a lot more of the show and a lot more of NFL, baseball, as well as in the NFL. And then we'll be talking the ancillary sports like boxing and maybe the NHL every now and then, college football as well as college basketball. So again, please like and subscribe, and follow me on my Twitter and follow me on my Instagram. You'll see them all on the page. And again, thank you all for being here. We will have a show likely next week, talking more Dodger baseball and talking more than likely NBA draft and what free agency is going to bring. So until then, well, I should say, until next time, we will see you next time.